My mock scores are fluctuating a lot. What's going on? I don't know. And I thought I will address that question. Why is it that the mock score is fluctuating, and what is it that you can do with that fluctuation, or how to handle those fluctuations? But first of all, we need to understand what we are talking about. When people say mock scores, what scores are you talking about? Because one is that you get this score, which is your, let's maybe call a raw score, which is nothing but the number of questions that you got correct multiplied by 3 marks minus the number of questions that you got wrong. That is a raw score. And then you also get this other score, which is a percentile score. But I don't like to call it a percentile score. I actually want to call it a percentile rank, because percentile, after all, is a representation of your rank. So what is fluctuating? Is your raw score fluctuating a lot, or your percentile rank fluctuating a lot? My feeling is that the fluctuation that is happening with respect to the one that you're mentioning would be with respect to the percentile rank. And a raw score fluctuation can happen for a lot of reasons. Maybe the test that you took was slightly easier or difficult, but I think that most of you are discussing about this percentile rank fluctuation. So let me get to the bottom of this first. For that, I'm going to look at a data of CAT 2020 scale score versus percentile rank. This is the data collected by Career Launcher, getting the data from the students and collating this data. And also, me and GP did a session, recorded a video on the same, using the same chart, discussing how we can move from a particular percentile to another percentile. Let's say from 50 to 75, 75 to 90, 90 to 95, 95 to 97.5, 97.5 to 99, 99 to 99.5, and so on and so forth. I would want you guys to watch that video. It's about a 30, it's a 30, 35 minutes video, but it will be worth it. I will leave the link on top and also on the description box. So let's get to this. The distribution of the score, percentile rank versus a scale score. I'm using here scale score, of course, because you've got three sections, so three slots in the CAT last year, and then a formula was used to understand how do I put this? Formulas to compare the scores between all the three sections, and they created a scale score. So the distribution that you see here in CAT 2020 is by and large the distribution that you'll see in CAT 2019, 2018, 2017, also in your mock test. So let's use this. So here what we can see is this is the overall score versus percentile. On your y-axis, you've got the score. On your x-axis, you've got a percentile rank, which start from 100 percentile to and goes on till 0 percentile. The score moves from a negative score to a positive score. The total number is 228 marks last year. The highest that is recorded here is that particular score, which is probably very close to 165, and then goes all the way down to negative 25, right? And you see one simple aspect of this particular graph. I think that you can interpret this and see that there is one kind of journey that is happening from this point. This is almost like slightly linear increase, and then it kind of goes in a different direction. And that point where it actually changes the direction, it's about the 95th percentile. When you look at the 95th percentile, after that, the journey is very different. Something else is happening. And before that, something else is happening. And you see this same thing even in VRC section. You can see that after 95th percentile, it's a different story. Before 95th percentile is a different story, right? And you can see this in even in a DLR. So let me just take there. Even if DLR, you can actually see the steep is a little higher. It's like almost very different steep. And here, before that, the story is slightly different. And then you have the next one, which is your QA, the same story after 95th percentile. It's a different story. Before 95th percentile is a different story, right? Now, what does this mean? So let's say that usually what happens, your fluctuation in a section, usually your score fluctuates a lot. But what you're actually telling me is that the fluctuation happens in the percentile rank. Now let's assume that you are, let's say in one test, 60th percentile, and then you all the way went to 80th percentile. You see that my fluctuation is happening from 60 to 80 percentile. I just don't understand what's going on. In some cases, it can even go to 50 percentile. But what you need to understand, I've used VRC section as an example, is that you look at this particular point and that particular point there and see what is the score that we are looking at. What is the change in actual score during in that time? So this the change in score, if I keep another color, this change in score is roughly that much. That much. What is that data? That data tells me it's about what? About 5 marks. 5 marks is what? Two questions. So if you're down to question, you made all the way go down to 60 percentile. Up to question, you'll get all the way 80 percentile. That is why your score is fluctuating. Don't think that this is a huge fluctuation from 60 to 80 or 50 to 80. These are not huge fluctuation. There is a fluctuation in the percentile, but actually there is not huge fluctuation in your score. That's something that is important to understand. So the fluctuation may not happen that much for people who are at this particular range, because there the story is very different. If you're already at this level, let's say that you're already at that level, for each increment percentile, you have to push your score really high. So when you are preparing at this point in time, this is something that me and GP discussed during that video, which I really want you guys to check, be much more detailed than what I'm saying now, is this that this fluctuation is in percentile score is irrelevant at this point in time in your preparation. What you need to look at is your score that you're getting in the test, or alternatively number of questions that you're getting correct, net correct, number of corrects, and that should be a focus. So in next time when you look at the mock test, whatever be the percentile that you have, it is important for you to look at the let's say, for example, let's say you're at the 60th percentile as an example. What is the 80th percentile score? What was the 90th percentile score? What was the 95th percentile score? And this is what I got in the test. And okay, what is the gap that I'm looking at from here to here? What is the gap that I'm looking at here to here? What is the gap that you're looking at from here to here? But also, this is something that you took in the test scenario. Now, post the test, you have to look at all the questions once again, maybe redo the complete section. And then you'll get to know what I keep calling is your OCAD score. What is that score? Where is that one? Is it here? If that is here, then your plan of action in terms of improving your so-called percentile is to manage the test better. If your OCAD score is here, which is post-analysis score. If the post-analysis score is very close to this, then you need to add more knowledge. If a post-analysis test score is here, then you know that, okay, I'm doing something in the test. So at this point in time, when you have this fluctuation of your percentile around this range, and it's the same story everywhere. And DLR, the story is different. So for example, if I look at something like here, when I take the 60th percentile, that score is 10 marks, which is probably about 3 set. You're able to do 1 set completely. And then when I go to the 80th percentile, that's about 15. That's what, 5 questions you're able to do. Maybe you solve the 1 set with 6 marks, 6 questions, or the 2 sets. When you start looking at, even let's say look at the 90th percentile here, that's 20 marks here. So you're looking at 20 marks at 90th percentile in DLR section. That was what, about 7 questions, 2 sets, with 2 sets, 6 and 4 or 6 and 6. And then you even hit 90th percentile. That's about what, 25th marks. That's about 8 questions. That's again 2 sets. The journey from here to here, that percentile movement that is going to happen from here to here is merely because of 1 or 2 questions here and there. It sounds like a huge variation of your percentile score, which is a 40 percentile variations, 35% of my percentile moving. No, basically it's about small change in the test. That is because that is how the curve is. So don't worry in the sense of these percentile fluctuation. Now you have to worry about building your skills. What is that I need to get to the stage where I can handle 2 sets in DLR, 3 sets? Okay, can I do 4 sets? If I start hitting 4 sets or this, then you get into pretty high range, pretty high scores. If I can do 3 sets, but if I want to hit something like a 95th percentile, all I have to be a little sensible. And the story is the same with respect to QA as well. You see, for example, if I'm at the 60th percentile, I'm looking at this is very close to about what 9 marks. That is 3 questions. Let's take the 80th percentile there. What is it? That's about that I can see 15 marks, which is 5 questions. So what is the difference between 3 questions and 5 questions? 2 questions. What is a change in percentile range? That is 20 percentile range. So your percentage is fluctuating with 1 question here and there. And when you reach, let's say, 90th percentile, or even let's look at 90th, 95th percentile, that's like 30 marks that I can see, which means that is 10 questions. So that's all the range is 1 question, 2 question, 3 question here and there can make a huge variation. And the story here is very different. So if the point that I want to say is that if there is that one percentile, the percentile variations is very misleading and sometimes make you feel so demotivated. But you must always understand that percentile variation does not mean a percentage variation. That's what people start thinking. 60 percentile to 80 percentile means the jump is too much. I need to improve a lot. You don't have to, right? So what I want you guys to do is to watch that video, which we have given much more detailed analysis, me and GP, and then you'll get a better sense. I hope this one makes sense to all of you. Bye. Let me know if you need any more the thing that you want me to address. I can pick up those things. Please post comments wherein, sir, please take this one up, take this one up. I can do a few things. Me and GP can do something together. Do let us know. Right? Goodbye.